Let's bring in former federal prosecutor Joe Moreno and civil rights attorney Robert Patello, who should be seated next to me, but he is not tonight. Sorry, Robert, I'll give you a break on that. Gents, I want to begin by sharing this headline from Axios. This is from Serene Habeshian, and she says this here: where efforts to disqualify Trump from the 2024 ballot stand. It says this: Section 3 of the 14th Amendment states that no one should hold office in the U.S. if they have engaged in insurrection or rebellion against the U.S. or given aid or comfort to the enemies thereof. Yes, but the provision is largely untested, and the U.S. Constitution doesn't lay out how to enforce the clause to disqualify a candidate. All right, Joe, you first. What's behind all this effort to get him off shouldn't the people decide?
Yeah, Kevin, exactly right. I mean, this was a stretch to begin with, this argument, and the ruling is the absolute right one. I don't expect any appeals will change that. But at the end of the day, you're absolutely right. The voters should decide. The legal system is not a mechanism to vet candidates, and certainly not one to manipulate elections. And so I think people are seeing this, along with a civil case, 4 criminal cases, and these efforts to disqualify Trump from the ballots, and saying, wait a minute, that should be for the voters to decide whether to vote for him, not for the legal system to be used to block his candidacy.
RP, this seems unprecedented, at least from my memory, and yet it continues. It's almost every month there's another challenge. There's another judge out there who's going to maybe hear something like this. What's behind all this?
Oh, well, this is based upon a reading of the 14th Amendment that I think is taken out of context. The 14th Amendment, as we know, was written after the Civil War. So when they're talking about insurrection and that context and aid and comfort thereof, this amendment, this portion of the 14th Amendment was specifically intended to stop former Confederates from, for example, running for Congress or running for president or being able to take over the U.S. government from the inside out. It was supposed to stop the idea of the South rising again. Given that interpretation, I don't think anybody could argue that what President Trump did rises to the level of what the framers of the 14th Amendment believed in. But I do believe that given this current interpretation, particularly this goes to the Supreme Court, that this same jurisprudence can be used to overturn felony disenfranchisement laws that are around the country, which are also similarly based on the 15th Amendment, which was intended to stop former Confederates from being able to vote in U.S. elections as a result of their participation in that insurrection against the U.S. Constitution. So I think for voting rights advocates around the country, they should be watching this ruling and reading these decisions very closely, because it's very much could expand the right to vote to many individuals who are formerly incarcerated or even who are currently incarcerated, who, because of felony disenfranchisement rules, are currently not able to vote. Very interesting take on that. I want to get you both to weigh in on this. This is Claudia Tenney. She was on Mornings with Maria, and she's talking about the way that the law seems to be, and we've talked about this previously, handled differently for Donald Trump versus Joe Biden. Listen to this, and I'll get your reaction on the other side, Joe.
I mean, here we have President Biden. We're going to just forget about the fact that he's violated classified documents. We didn't raid his house. We didn't raid Hillary Clinton's house. And we had James Comey come out famously in 2016. And what did he say? No reasonable prosecutor will bring this case. Well, why are we bringing cases against President Trump?
You know what, Joe? I read what I read today about Biden. Probably not going to go anywhere. And yet Claudia makes a point that if this were President Trump, it might not go that way.
You know, Kevin, no surprise there in terms of like the fact that the Biden Justice Department will not take action against Biden for violating these laws. But look, I mean, at this point, I would respect it more if the president would get on the camera, talk to the American people, and explain why he thinks the Justice Department should give him a pass for mishandling classified documents and yet throw the book at his political opponent just in time for next year's election to have maximum effect on the election. So I think people are understandably, aggravated here by saying, again, why is the legal system being used as a political tool? It should not be, and it seems like it's being completely misused for that purpose.
RP, 15 seconds.
Well, it seemed it's proper protocol. President Biden, Mike Pence turned over documents to the FBI when they asked for them. President Trump had the pool guy and some of the guy try to move boxes to the bathroom or something and erase videotapes. The difference is how you handle the documents once you discover they are in your possession. President Biden followed protocol, therefore he's not being prosecuted. President Trump did not do so, so he's being prosecuted.
Well, I don't know if he followed protocol. Remember, he had documents he should not have had for years, and in the case of the former president, the National Archives are not a criminal prosecution outfit. They can ask. You can go back and forth. But that's a debate for another time. Gents, thank you so much. Have a great Friday. Appreciate it, fellas. Coming up.